Back to another video. This is part 3 in my mini series of hacking Active Directory, and we are working through the machine retro over on Vulnlab. If you missed part 1 and part 2, I highly recommend you watch those ones first, otherwise you are going to be lost. In part 1 we did enumeration, in part 2 we did initial access, and now in part 3 we are going to work on lateral movement and then privilege escalation. Now, before we dive into it, I do have to give you a word from this really cool guy named Tyler. He is the one who makes this video possible. So yes, I do sponsor my own videos. Check out this word from our sponsor, and then we will dive into the content for today. To succeed as a pen tester in 2025 and beyond, you need to understand cloud pen testing. I created an entire course, Introduction to AWS Pen Testing, which is 65 hands-on lessons taught by me, a real pen tester, not just a silly InfoSec influencer. This course is available right now for only $34.99. I could have easily charged hundreds of dollars for this course, but I wanted it to be affordable and accessible. Link is in the description. And that course is going to go up in price to $49.99 in the near future. So if you're watching this shortly after it releases, even if you don't plan on going through the course right now, purchase it now. One-time payment, lifetime access is a course that will continually be updated and fresh. That being said, let's dive in. Oh, Zero Cool said, how did I find that out? For those of you watching the YouTube video, Zero Cool is speaking in Greek, and I translated it. So Zero Cool, yes, I use Google Translate. I also know a little bit of Greek from my seminary days, but that was Koine Greek, not like modern day Greek, so I recognize some stuff, but not much. But yeah, I use Google Translate to translate that. But okay, and also, if you guys can see the chat for the, oh, wrong way, this up here, for those of you watching on YouTube, you might see the chat up here, and that's because I am filming this while I'm live on stream. If you ever want to be part of the studio audience, you should join me. When you subscribe to my channel, hit that little notification icon that should notify you when I'm on stream, or join the Hexmeter Discord. A link is in the description, and you can add the Tyler stream role, and you'll get notified every time I stream. But let's go ahead and dive right back in where we left off. So at the end of the last video, we had a few different things to research. We saw that Jay Burley seems to have the keys to the kingdom. So we're trying to figure out a way that we can get to him, but we also had this hint about pre-created computer accounts. So I figured, hey, let's read a little bit about pre-created computer accounts and maybe begin there. So I'm just going to type that in. Actually, I think I saw this right here. I must have pulled it up. Let's check out Trusted Sec right here. Diving into pre-created computer accounts, and let's go ahead and grab this blog, and add it to our notes. And I'm going to do like an H1 maybe, and we'll just say researching pre-created computer accounts. We'll drop our link in right there. And what I'm going to do, and I don't know if this will work great, I'm going to drop this over to that side, drop this over to this side, so it's a little bit easier for us to take notes as we go through this. So I'm going to do my best to skim read this, but let's go on. I was on an engagement where I simply could not elevate priv, so I had to become creative, blah, blah. I was there 25 years ago when pre-creating computer accounts was a thing. My theory was that since this domain had a lot of history, and I was just saying this, someone was asking me about a Active Directory attack and whether or not it's still possible. Active Directory environments and real corporate like infrastructure is massive, and legacy attacks still do work. And here's another legacy attack. If I got lucky, maybe one of them even had the assign this computer account as pre-Windows 2000 computer checkmark. Now, if you know this, I believe if this is set, the password is actually the same as the name of the computer account. So if your computer account is named Tyler, the password by default is Tyler, I think. I'm going to kind of scroll through this. Yeah, okay. So it says... blah, blah, assign this computer account as a pre-Windows 2000 computer checkmark. The password for the computer account becomes the same as a computer account in lowercase. So I'm going to add that as a note. Pre-Windows 2000 computer account. Password equals, oh, same as the username. That's fine right there. That is based on the computer name. If you do not select this checkbox, you are assigned a random password. That's super secure. That means if someone at one point in time created a computer account with this option set and then never onboarded it by joining to the domain, you know the password for this account. So how do we get a list of pre-created computer accounts that has never been used? Turns out this is pretty simple. In this blog post, I'm going to show you the searches using AD Explorer, but you can basically use any other LDAP tool. So we can actually do this with Netexec. I believe with Netexec, we can query LDAP, and we might be able to do this ourselves. So finding pre-created computer accounts. Whenever a computer account is created, it has the following user account flag set. So we'll say user account control flags to look for. 32, password not required. And we have 4096, if I can type, workstation trust account. This means the account, the value of that are pre-created computer accounts. After a computer account has joined the domain, it will just have the workstation trust account flag set. All the different user account control flags can be found here. To search specifically for pre-created computer accounts, you want to find only the accounts that have been authenticated against, blah, blah. All right. Is there an LDAP query string? How do we test to find valid password? Blah, blah. Changing the password. Oh. Information. Great. We know the password for account we can use to exploit. So different ways to change the password if we need to. All right. Don't know if this blog is going to be super helpful. So we need to set this up if we're going to change the password this way. How do we query for it? Is there an LDAP query? Scroll through. I might be missing something because I'm very much skimming this blog right here. If I wasn't streaming, I would read this in full, like all the information, and I'll probably come back to it and read it. Here, let me make it full screen. Whoops. Is there an LDAP query in this blog that I just missed? Let me scroll through. Oh, no. Password. If you guys saw it, please let me know. Oh. This would be the LDAP query I think we can use. I think. We can try this, I suppose. Let's just make sure our freaking, we're connected to this. Do I not have that in Etsy hosts? What do I call it? Oh, DC, just DC, okay. Ping dc.retro.vl. Make sure that we can ping. Okay, that's cool. So I think what we could do, in Netexec, and I need to look this up because I'm not entirely sure the syntax here, and I don't actually remember if it's possible. So I'm going to leave this blog open. I'm going to go to Netexec Wiki, and let's check this out together. Yes, an LDAP filter, exactly. That's what, I think we can search for LDAP filters with Netexec. Yeah, query LDAP. If you need to query raw LDAP values, you can use the query option together with filters. The return values are not parsed in any way and should return this exact same output as LDAP search or similar tools. That's cool. What else can we do with this? I thought there was maybe a switch for this specific search, but I might be misremembering things. Netexec pre-created computer accounts. Yeah, pre-2K module. You can now use Netexec to enumerate computer accounts with pre-Windows 2000 flag. Okay, I am not like a GPT hallucinating. This was actually something in the back of my mind. Amazing. I would love to try this out. So how do we do this? We just do module pre-2K. Amazing. Well, let's try this. Let's just first make sure our connection works. Let's do Netexec SMB, -u trainee, right? And then password trainee, I think. And I should probably add the domain here, or our domain controller, and we'll just see if we can hit shares. I think this is the correct username and password. Okay, it is. We authenticated. Beautiful. So then let's go ahead and try this pre-2K module, which I think it's super awesome. It's in here. Let's change this to LDAP. The rest of this will be the same, but we're going to do module, and it's just pre-2K. Cross our fingers. Like magic, ladies and gentlemen. So we don't even have to do the LDAP query. Within LDAP, there is a module that searches for pre-created computer accounts. I didn't see that in the wiki, but a little bit of Google Foo found us that. And then it even obtains a TGT for the one pre-created computer account. Okay, this is cool. Let's grab this and drop it into our notes. I'll make this full screen. And there is a module. We'll do using Netexec to find and we'll drop a code block in there. So we know that this is banking, so then we'd assume, based on this up here, the password is the same as the username. So let's just try this. Retro, we don't need to do the module. Let's try a password of banking. And then a username of banking, $, because it's a computer account. And see if that authenticates. Okay. Well, here, let me try SMB. Oh, baking. Not baking. We want banking. Thank you, Hoi Manoi. I appreciate it. Let's go banking there. Okay, that doesn't work, but maybe I'm doing it wrong. Let me look back at that blog because they had a whole section there on it. All right, I skim read this, blah, blah, finding pre-created computer accounts. So he's using SMB client. Let's go ahead and try that. And I think it is just Impacket SMB client. It is. All right, beautiful. So we'll do retro.vl and banking $, and then banking for the password, like so, at dc retro.vl. Hey KV, and we're doing some Active Directory hacking. We're working on, this is a third part in a series on the retro machine over on Vulnlab. The account is used as a computer account. Use your global user account. Okay, this is the same error message in the blog. So this confirms that it is using that default password. So I'm just going to drop a code block in here so we have that information. And let's jump back over to the blog. All right, we can see that it is valid. So we know the password for an account that we can use to exploit, certificate template flaw identified earlier. We'll want to check with that for Certipy. But you cannot use this computer account before the password has been changed. And get this, you cannot change the password over SMB based on my research. This is due to the fact that you need to authenticate to the IPC share, and our identified computer account cannot be pre-created computer account that has not had its password changed. The good news for us is there are many different ways to change the password for an account of Windows according to the official documentation. Of course. Note that important terms we need to be aware of when dealing with password resets are change and set. With a change, you need to know the previous password, but with set, you will need to be granted with the appropriate permission to do so. The LDAP protocol requires the reset password, set password permission, and this is something a default computer account does not have on its own object. Got it. This method is used by Windows 95, blah, blah. So SMB password RPC client uses the net user change password protocol using the SAMR change password user 2. kpasswd uses the Kerberos change password protocol on port 464. LDAP password Windows LDP uses the LDAP method. But as stated before, in order to set it, you need the reset password permission, which we don't have as a default computer account. When I was looking into this in my engagement, I was not aware of the kpasswd method. So I instead ended up writing a custom in-packet script that leverages that to change the password. This bypasses the error you get when doing over SMB. This code is based on SMB password and other in-packet scripts. I've created a pull request that can be found here for now. Comment, mention, blah, blah. Added change password pi, closing. Okay, do I have that? Whoops. I do not. What's the other way? I'm just curious. That was mentioned. Where's my freaking blog? Here we go. Ran my script and then reran it to list out the share successfully. Cool. Can we get a bigger terminal? Yeah, I'll drop it to a bigger terminal. Cape. As mentioned before, when I started to write this blog post, I also discovered that kpasswd, binary inside KRB user or whatever, can be used to change a computer password, but requires you to do some configuration and possibly edit your host file. In my lab, I installed the KRB5 user using apt install and configured it by editing the etc krb5 comp file. The file for the lab looks like this. Okay. Then it's just a matter of running the command and providing input. I think I already have that binary. No, I don't. Okay. If I could type. Blank. I can figure that later. All right, now we have kpasswd. So then if we look at this, we need to edit this file right here to add our information, I think. Okay. I think I know what I'm doing. All right. Since we're doing Kerberos authentication, we need to edit the realm so that when we do the Kerberos, it actually does it successfully and we can update the computer's password. Step number 1 is updating this file, sudo nano etc krb5.conf. And our only for blah, blah. Okay, that's fine. So underneath the realms, I think we can add a new realm right here. I'll just space it out a little bit and we'll do retro.vl, I think would be the correct syntax here. And we'll do kdc equals dc.retro.vl and admin server equals dc.retro.vl. I think my syntax there is correct. I probably just broke something. KDC, yep, so that's what I did, right? KDC, admin server, retro.vl, okay. And now we just need to update the password that way. Let's give it a shot. kpasswd banking that. Okay. I did something wrong. If anyone has any ideas, let me know. I don't know what I did wrong here. Client not found in Kerberos database getting initial ticket. Did I make a typo? Oh, does this need to be capital for some? No, that wouldn't make any sense. Well, maybe that is the issue. No, that is not the issue. Past works great. You might need to check your system time to match the DC. You think so? Oops. I mean, I don't even know what. Let's just do some Googling together. You know, any other YouTuber would probably edit this part out of the video, but I'll keep it in here. We'll keep in the troubleshooting and do this. Usually indicates a user account or machine account is not registered in the Kerberos realm or hasn't been properly replicated to the domain controller. No. I don't think that's the issue. Okay, all services are failing. Post enabling Kerberos with error. Client not found in Kerberos database. KUnit fields the same error while using blah, 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 blah. Appreciate any pointers. That wouldn't be the issue. Check if the Kerberos realm name in AD is in lowercase. I've seen the problem if that is the case. If it is, you would be able to complete the Kerberos wizard, but service startup will fail with this error. Interesting. I don't really know what I'm doing wrong here, to be honest. I feel like it comes down to this file that I did something wrong here. But I'm not sure what. Oh, what if... Is it my default realm? What if I change this? Boom! See that troubleshooting, guys? All right, password is just banking right now. Oh. Wait, do I... Dang it, now I have a different error. Okay. That's cool. All right, I'll sync my time real quick to the domain controller. I'm trying to remember the syntax for that. Is it, nope. Frick, what is the command? Is computer name case sensitive? It might be. Here, let's try that real quick. Let's try banking. It is. Nice. Nice call out there. We don't need to sync time yet. Enter new password. We'll do hack smarter 123. Hack smarter 123. Boom. All right, we changed the password. And what I want to do is grab this file and just really show the things that we added / changed. So I'm going to grab this right here. Oh, thank you. I'll check that out. Who is sin? Give me just a moment. We'll do an H3, resetting the password, and first update this file. I'm going to drop this in here. Maybe I don't have the ability to do that. Is there a way? Okay, yeah, I can. Can I change the color? I can. Okay, cool. I'm going to make this red just so very clearly like this. These are the things I changed, right? I changed the default realm right there. And I, of course, added all of this right here. So I want to make this very obvious for my own notes and for my own learning that this is what we ended up doing. Like, those are the things highlighted. Changes are bold in red below for our notes. So we update that. And then we just ran this command. Computer account is case sensitive. Right, and we'll just go ahead and grab that syntax from our notes as well. Right here. Also realize I'm not working from the right directory. Let me CD over to the retro directory. Hey, we are learning Active Directory hacking. We're working through Retro. You might feel a little bit lost, but part 1 and part 2 are on my YouTube channel. You can watch those if you feel lost. This is going to be part 3 of a mini-series. Anyways, we have now reset the password for the banking account, I think. Let's go ahead and go all the way back to our SMB client command that we were running before. Right here, and let's use hacksmarter123 for our password. I actually don't oh, perfect. I couldn't remember if I capitalized the yeah, okay, so I have authenticated. I'm authenticated now. I couldn't remember if I capitalized the S in hacksmarter or not, but this shows that we are authenticated, so we can add that information to our notes. And we'll actually make a third step. Confirm auth with SMB client. Okay, but even with that, there's a few hints that we kind of saw as we were working through this machine. If you remember of part 2 in this video when we did Bloodhound analysis, there was really nothing interesting as far as the accounts went. I mean, Jay Burley was interesting, but this account, based on what I remember seeing in Bloodhound, does not give us any access over Jay Burley. But I really do think this blog is key, this TrustedSec blog. If we look at this TrustedSec blog, I remember reading on here, certificate. I was on an engagement where I simply could not elevate privileges, so I had to become creative. Don't want to block too much with my freaking face. And look deep into my old bucket. Bucket being my head of knowledge, and this resulted in some fun stuff. I had found that the client had a vulnerable certificate template, also known as ESC1, that, why does this, there we go, that allowed domain computers to request certificates based on it. So we need a domain computer. I then tried all the normal things such as creating a computer account as a normal user. The SE machine account privilege was, however, adjusting the domain controller policy and only allowed a few specific groups to add computers to the domain. This led me down the road of trying to escalate on the host itself. However, proper hardening was in place, so no apparent escalation path was clear. Anyways, this blog points out a very common path to privilege escalation in Active Directory, and that is abusing ADCS misconfigurations or Active Directory Certificate Services. Specifically, this one's talking about ESC1, which allows a computer account to request a template essentially for another user. So we could request a template or a ticket for a domain admin, Jay Burley, and potentially authenticate that way. So what we can do is there's a tool called Certipy. Certipy will enumerate all of the templates in Active Directory and even see if there's any vulnerable templates that we might be able to abuse. And we can actually exploit some of that with either Certipy or Netexec, depending on what we run into. So let's go ahead and try out Certipy. I think in Kali Linux, it's called Certipy AD, and it's built into it. You can actually see it from when I was doing it before on another machine. Certipy AD, right? And Certipy AD allows us to do different things. I always sort of forget the syntax. So we'll see how well I am at remembering the syntax here. I think, so we have enumerate ADCS. So let's do Certipy AD. We're going to do find. Oh, sweet. So I actually have some syntax from before when I was doing Ledger. So that's actually really helpful. And it shows me what we need to do. I'm going to go ahead and do right arrow on my keyboard to autofill that in, and I'm just going to change the information here. So we don't have Susanna McKnight on ledger.thm. We are going to use our banking machine account user, and our password is going to be hacksmarter123. Our DC IP is going to be whatever it is, ping retro.vl. It's this IP right here, so we're going to grab that. And then vulnerable means we only want to see vulnerable ones. I think I can also do standard out. Is it just one? There we go. It will just print the output to our screen rather than saving it as files. And now it's enumerating all the different certificate authorities, certificate templates, seeing if it can find any vulnerable ADCS stuff that we might be able to abuse for privilege escalation. And it looks like they were actually following this blog. It says ESC1, domain computers can enroll, enrollee supplies subject and template allows client authentication. So let's grab all of this information and we can drop it into our notes. And then we can work on abusing this to hopefully elevate our privileges. So I'm going to do new, maybe H1, and we'll say digging into ADCS vulnerabilities. And I'm going to drop a code block in here. I'm also going to put a code block. Well, actually, I'll just do it in the same code block. I want to include the syntax that we use. And I think this is really important for those of you studying for different exams. Why can I not freaking down arrow it? Thank you. Like the OSCP or the PT1 or the PNPT, when you're working through machines or AD networks in prep, make sure you document every command that you run. Because you will come into a situation where you're like, I know I ran this before, but you can't remember the syntax. Always record it, always document it so you can reference your own notes while you're on the exam or on an engagement, and that'll make your life a lot easier. Trust me, I've learned that the hard way. So let me drop that information in there, and we have our full syntax. Finally, we can see that it's vulnerable to ESC1, which allows domain computers, of course, to enroll, blah, 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 blah. So then the question is, how can we exploit this? And the answer is, I don't know. I have to read about it. So let's do some reading. ESC1. First, let's see if we can exploit it with Certipy. Shout out to Red Fox Security. I don't know who they are, but if it's actually a helpful blog, I will appreciate it. It's small text. I apologize. I can't read it very well either. Oh, they have it right here. Okay. Request a certificate and supply the administrator's subject alternative name. Target, local, ESC1, UPN, DNS. Okay. I think I get that. Target is the CA host name. The template, name of the variable template, ES1 in this case. Okay, let's go ahead and grab this. But what I'm going to do is make this a little easier to understand. So if we just paste in their command, here's what we need to fill in. We, of course, need our DC IP, our domain controller IP. We need our username here. We need our password here, all basic stuff. And I'm going to add this to my notes. And the other cool thing, guys, is when I'm done with this machine and this third part of the video, you can get access to all the notes I took while working through this machine in the description of this video. So all the notes I'm taking right now, I will give to you free of charge. It will be in the description of this video. So I want to make my notes a little bit easier to follow along. So we have the password there. We have here the certificate authority. We're going to get that from our template. Certificate authority. We have our target, which is going to be the host name. Finally, our vulnerable template. We'll see our UPN is going to be administrator at, and we'll just say like the domain. Fill in the domain. And our DNS is going to be the domain controller. I think that's the correct syntax. Let me grab that, and we'll just do it right here. We'll try to get it correct. So let's fill this out together. Number one, we need our DC IP. So let's grab that. There's our DC IP. Jump back over to this and paste that in. Our username, of course, is going to be banking. $. Our password is going to be hacksmarter123, like so. Our certificate authority is retro. Well, the certificate name, I believe that's going to be the certificate authority that we need for this. Certificate authority host name. Oh no, here's our certificate authority. My bad, I'm mixing this up a little bit. No, that's correct. That's the same thing. I don't know. I don't know if we need that. Certify AD requirement. We'll pass it our DC IP, username of banking, password of banking, our CA. That I don't think you actually need the target for this attack. If anyone else knows, let me know. I might be wrong here. I don't think you need the target. You do need the template. I'm probably totally messing this up. Our template name, I think, is going to be Retro Clients right here. So let's grab that. Our UPN, we can do administrator at retro.vl. And then our DNS, we can just do dc.retro.vl. Here's where I might have to sync my time with the domain controller. I've noticed on these types of attacks, it might time out or we might have a weird bug. And if I do, that'll be great because I can show you what that bug looks like. I also probably messed up the syntax. So now we're going to YOLO it and see what happens. Okay, it would be helpful if I, use the right Certipy command here in Kali. I'm just going to say yeah. So that failed. Let's try it again. The public key does not meet the minimum size required by the specified certificate template. The frick does that mean? All right, back to our handy dandy troubleshooting. Also, one of the things you might notice that I'm doing, or that I'm not doing, is not relying on ChatGPT. I made a short about this on YouTube. ChatGPT, LLM, AI, amazing tools, really are, and I use them all the time. But when I'm working through a lab or a machine, I try not to use them because when you're forced to research on your own, I feel like, at least for me personally, it stores in my long-term memory better than if I just go straight to GPT and get the answer. So I recommend the same thing. Use GPT, use LLMs, but when you're working on learning on your own, try to struggle for a little bit. It's good for you and it will help cement that long-term memory. Actually curious what you guys think in chat. We have almost 80 people in the live stream. What do you guys think? Have you noticed that when you become overly reliant on ChatGPT, it kind of short circuits your own learning, or is that not an issue for you? I would love to hear from you guys. John Doe says, I agree. Notion is such a great source for taking notes. Thank you for showing Notion in your Simply Cyber course. Absolutely. I learn more when I force myself to figure it out. Says Henry Sunflower, 100% agree. Says Hussein, I think GPT is best when you can steer it. Yep. I normally use AI to explain what I know and see if it's correct, but I agree for labs. Definitely agree with you. Okay, so I'm not the only person who thinks that. I slowly noticed that about myself. If you watch my other streams, I was like using GPT all the time, and I noticed I was short-circuiting my own learning as a result. Hey, what up, French Detective? Good to have you here. So we might just need to adjust the key size. Oh, this has nothing to do with what I'm trying to figure out. What if... Is there like a deeper help here? Maybe not. DC only, vulnerable. Oh, wait, I'm not doing fine. I'm doing request. Name server, DCIP, out, key size. Default is 2048. What if we change it to 4096? Well, 2048. We'll double it up to 4096. This is where we might have to match our time to the domain controller. I don't know what the frick this warning is, to be honest with you guys. Okay, let's debug a little bit. This will help us identify if we need to match us up to the domain controller. Oh. What? Why did it work that time? Okay, apparently I just had to debug it, but it got the certificate. Right there. Okay. Guys, I don't know why that worked and didn't work before. But cool. Let's add that to our notes, I suppose. And I'm going to make a note there. First, I was having issues, so I adjusted the key size, and then it timed out while when I used the debug flag. Jeez, I cannot freaking type. It magically worked. I don't know why. Just being honest there. I have not used Kali GPT. I wonder why that worked. I'm going to delete the silly syntax error. But it did it then. So now we have the administrator key, which is awesome. From there, yeah, we should be able to authenticate to the domain controller. Blah, blah. Now we attempt to show the domain controller certificate. Blah, blah. Now we dump hashes and LSA secrets using secrets dump. So let's try this. We'll do Certipy auth. We have our administrator DC PFX right there. So we'll do Certipy AD auth. Oh, you can even see this once again. I did it on a different machine. There's the syntax. We just need to update it a little bit. So I'm going to change administrator to administrator DC.pfx. We'll change our DC IP to whatever it is. Grab that. Username administrator. Domain will do retro.vl. Please select one. We want the UPN. Cross our fingers. Hope it works, because this part 3 is getting longer than I want it to be. We're at 40 minutes. Boom. And we have the hash. We can probably authenticate now. Let's give it a shot. If I do evil winrm/u administrator -h, just paste in the hash dc retro.vl. Oh, you know what? Let's grab this for our notes. Raiders hash. Boom. And we now have access as the administrator. If we CD over to our desktop and do dir, you can see we have root.txt, but I'm not going to show you the flag on stream. I showed you everything you need to do over the course of 3 videos to get both the user flag and the root flag. I don't want to get it for you. Actually, I don't even think I got the user flag, but you now have the root flag. You can easily go back and get the user flag, but I don't want to make it easy for you. I'm not going to show you the flags, but I showed you everything we need to do to get here. I am going to make sure this actually gives us the flag, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. And yep, it does give us the flag. So if you do all those steps, you are able to get the final root flag. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our mini-series on hacking Active Directory. In part 1, we did enumeration. In part 2, we did initial access. And here in part 3, we did privilege escalation. I showed you research. I showed you solving errors. I showed you a bunch of different things that hopefully you learned in the process. Once again, if you want full access to my notes from this machine, I'm going to drop it for free in the description of this video. If you appreciate my content and you want to say thank you, there's a link to my Ko-Fi also in the description. Give $1, give $5, give 10, give 100, give 1,000, whatever you're able to afford to say thank you. And hey, if you haven't also taken my AWS course, make sure you check that out. Oh my goodness, and we got Crypto King ending it with a super chat of $300. On behalf of the community, thank you for thinking of us when providing great content at one price. Wow. Dude, y'all be like Crypto King. Seriously, my friend, thank you so much for your generosity. It means a lot when I'm taking these late nights to hang out and try to teach and mentor. You are amazing. So for those of you watching this video after the fact, be like Crypto King. He just did a super chat of $300. You can do it as well, but you can do a super chat. You can give on Ko-Fi. You can do it over on Twitch, however you want to do it. But thank you all for taking the time to hang out and being on this journey with me. I will see you in the next one.